Council is now in session, and I'd like to start with the roll call. I'll be covering for Dan Deck, our mayor, who's away on conference, and also as well, Councillor Harris will be away due to family matters. And call to order, looks like we have the rest of council in session. And any additions to the agenda? No additions. Next one is adoption of the agenda.
I'll move adoption of the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Sandal. All in favor? Looks like we have a guest coming in. Feel free to have a seat over here, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Actually, you can just wait until you're ready for that item on the agenda.
sure. Okay. We'll just have you stay seated and then,
Certainly.
thanks, Darcy. Okay, 5.0, public hearing minutes.
None.
There's none to cover. Adoption of the minutes. 6.1, a regular meeting of council, May 22nd, 2024.
I'll move that we accept the regular meeting minutes of council, May 22nd, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Finance, 7.1, accounts paid as of June 10th, 2024.
I'll move that we accept the accounts paid as of June 10th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor. Any questions? No? Okay. Yeah, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, we're moving on to our 8.1 RCMP quarterly report. Staff Sergeant Darcy McGunnell, is that how I pronounce it?
McGonigal.
McGonigal.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
close.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you. Not Dan, though.
No, Jay.
I've met Dan before.
Yeah, Councillor Jay Miliante.
Hi, Jay. Very nice to meet you. Again, thank you. I'm Staff Sergeant Darcy McGonigal. I'm the new detachment commander at Morinville Detachment. Just started about 4 weeks ago now.
Congratulations.
And thank you very much. Yeah, so I've been with the RCMP for 22 years now. I served for 7 years in F Division throughout Saskatchewan at the front lines. I was detachment commander in various locations across Alberta, Kitscoty, Beaumont, Coronation. I was an advisor with Eastern Alberta District, overseeing most of our detachments between Edmonton and Lloydminster. And I spent the last 6 years in human resources in our internal staffing branch at provincial headquarters downtown.
So we shouldn't have a problem staffing staff
Nope, we
at
won't.
your detachment.
Not only that, but I'm happy to say that I have a pretty good sense of who I think are the right members for our detachment and for our community and for what I'm trying to build here. And so
Sounds like you're a community member yourself.
I am very much so, and I'm bringing in some like-minded members with me. And so I'll give an update on that shortly here.
Absolutely. Well, it's the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd just like to provide Mayor and Council with the fourth quarter report for our 23-24 fiscal year. I'll provide some of our crime stats and trends and where things are going, and then maybe, I'm not sure how much time I have on the agenda today. I don't want to go over.
I'll give you the time that you need.
Okay, I'll try not to take too much of everyone's time. I know we're all busy, and I'll speak to some of my thoughts so far. Like I said, I've had about a month now to kind of evaluate our operations and have a look at our detachment, and I have some ideas of maybe where I'd like to take things. We can have a brief discussion about that after. So, as we're all aware, the Morinville RCMP detachment provides 24-hour policing service to several communities, including Morinville, Bonaccord, Legal, Sturgeon County, Alexander First Nation, and of course the town of Gibbons. The detachment is comprised of 34 personnel, which includes 1 staff sergeant, myself, 1 sergeant. We have 5 corporals. We have 18 frontline constables. In addition to that, we have 1 school resource officer, designated constable. We also have 4 public service employees and 4 town of Morinville employees. And we're also supported by Sturgeon County Regional Victim Services, which includes 9 advocates and 5 prison guards in our jail cells. So that's our complement, or our establishment, I guess you could say, at our detachment. So right now, relatively speaking, we are in good shape in terms of our resource management. I'm going to try to move this a little over here. That's better. In terms of our vacancy patterns right now, we're doing quite well, in my opinion. We have had a couple constable vacancies come up recently, and again, fortunate that I'm in the position that I'm in and that I have the contacts that I have. I was able to get those filled rather quickly. We had a new constable just started last week, Constable Tanner Wills, who's an excellent police officer with years of experience and very diverse experience. He started with us last week. We're also going to be having Constable Jason Klipich coming to our detachment from Westlock next month. And again, incredible police officer. He's going to do really well in the community. In addition to that, we also had 3 vacant positions that just were vacated recently at our supervisor levels. So I've asked, typically we put those out to promotion, and we have a district office that's in Edmonton, Leduc, and they identify, okay, who are going to be selected to go into those new promotional opportunities here in Morinville as supervisors. I've asked, and I've been approved to go ahead and make those selections directly myself. For one thing, like I said, I want to have the right people in here, the right fits for our detachment, for our communities. And from what I'm hearing from the public, the kind of people that we want here, people that are involved in the communities, people that are actually part of the area that we police. So I want that. I also want to make sure that it's expedited as well. I don't want this to drag on for months and months. I don't want this in the hands of someone who is just, Morinville is just one of 20 detachments that they have to be responsible for. So it's going to end up on my table, and I'm going to be pushing this one through. So we'll have some new supervisors identified fairly shortly. I'm hoping next month. Also, our Sergeant Lou Sims, who spent the last 3.5 years with us and is actually filling in as interim detachment commander for the last 6 months, has been identified for promotion himself. And so he's going to be departing likely at the end of the summer, and he'll be going to Leduc Detachment. So very grateful to Lou for his service, not just in the RCMP, 43 years, but for the last 3 years in Morinville Detachment. Incredible asset. And again, we'll be going through the same process, likely through a promotional process to identify his replacement. But we're going to get on that right away. We already started the process yesterday, so hopefully there's no gap there where we end up with a vacant seat. Into our community priorities, the Morinville RCMP detachment for the previous fiscal year, as I'm sure you're all aware, focused on the following 4 community priorities: safety and property crime. And I'll just go straight to the update on that. So for property crime reduction, we had the proactive initiatives of the Lock It or Lose It program, where we distributed program pamphlets throughout the area. And for the fourth quarter, January to April, we issued 150 total program pamphlets. We also completed 633 hotspot patrol checks during those 3 months. So again, those are areas where when we look at the data and we look at where our crimes are occurring most, and I think that's information that's even available to the public, you can actually see where those are occurring. We want to target our patrols, so we're not just flying around out there random hoping that maybe we encounter something. We actually are smart about this with where we send our resources to and where we spend our time. And so we keep track of it too to see how much we're doing. So 633 targeted patrols in our areas to, again, focus on that crime reduction piece. Our number 2 community priority of workness, employee wellness, and respect. I'm reporting on this since it is one of our 4 detachment priorities. This is a little bit more of an internal initiative, though. This one focuses on team building, on health and wellness of our staff internally. Now, this is one that used to fall by the wayside because we didn't pay direct attention on it. We simply rely on the employees themselves to be grown adults and manage this themselves, take good care of themselves, have healthy lifestyles, and make sure they take the time to recharge their batteries. But those days are kind of gone. Now we've realized that, you know, we need to, as an organization, we need to take a more proactive role in actually ensuring that that's happening, and not just rely on people to kind of do their own thing and wait until there's a problem to actually step in and intervene. So again, we come up with regular activities and regular monitoring to make sure that everyone is taking good care of themselves. Our third priority of enhancing awareness and education, so this is more our proactive community involvement, where we do our programs in the schools, we do our community interactions. Coffee with a Cop. We held Coffee with a Cop sessions for that quarter on March 15th, or sorry, February 15th, March 7th, March 21st, and a rural crime reduction and community engagement activities as well. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Just remind your members we have a Tim Hortons now, and
Yes.
probably do it there too.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually. I'll get into that right now, actually. So our guys, I have encouraged them to frequent it, and they came out here and they had a good interaction last week. I'll put it that way. I think it's a good thing out here to have them out here, and especially you know, a community like Gibbons, where say on any given night, if there's one vehicle that's driving around here that probably doesn't belong here and shouldn't be here, our guys are going to know, and that's exactly what we happened. We got someone out of here that had no business being around here the other night. So, yeah, I agree. Our fourth priority of enhancing road safety, again, traffic safety, and I'll provide the stats on this shortly here, but obviously we have plans throughout the year of ongoing traffic ticket violations, traffic check stops, and radar enforcement throughout the area. Our crime reporting trends, I'll get into some statistics here. So our criminal code and traffic offenses have seen a general reduction from this same period from the previous year. So persons crimes are down 35%. Now that's a relatively small sample size. It went down from 43 to 28, but any reduction is welcome. Property crime, we've seen a 44% decrease. Our total other criminal code that don't fall in those two categories is down by 27%. And our total criminal code for that quarter is down by 38%. Our criminal code traffic has remained unchanged. Our provincial code traffic has seen a slight decrease in provincial traffic offenses. We also have common policing activities that have seen some increases, but again, given the small sample sizes, I'm not too worried about this. False alarms are up 89% in the area, but for context, that's up from 9 to 17. It's very manageable in my opinion for a detachment our size. Pretty much unchanged when in false abandoned 911 calls, complaints about suspicious persons, complaints of missing persons. We have seen a drop in spousal abuse cases this quarter compared to last year, just about half. But again, it's a small sample size, so but we'll welcome any kind of reduction for sure. That's my report on our quarterly update. Before I go into maybe kind of what my plans are, what my visions are for the detachment so far, and that's going to evolve, I'll put it to Mayor and Council for any questions just on the quarterly update.
Well, I will reserve my questions for after. Council, do you have any questions? I think my mic just died there. There we go. Councillor Lorraine Berry.
The little graph that you show, does that cover all of 2019 to 2023? Because that's what it's saying here, 19 to 23?
I'm not sure the graph you're referencing right now. Yes. Yeah.
That's the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay, so really what we're looking at is just the very end. Is it going up or going down?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I have some thoughts on this that this might not be the ideal forum for this, but I do have some thoughts on perhaps how we're formatting our reports specifically to Mayor and Council for Gibbons. One of the things that jumps out at me is that these numbers that I'm reporting on, this is for our entire detachment area. I'm reporting on instances in Alexander First Nation. I'm reporting on stuff in the county, in Morinville. I suspect, and I know I've met with Dan and Farrell and Willis already to talk about this, but I suspect there's perhaps an appetite to maybe provide a report that's a little bit more designed to the town of Gibbons. How are we doing here? And, if there's no objections to that, perhaps I'll have a follow-up discussion with Farrell on this, but perhaps moving forward we can kind of tailor our updates to the town of Gibbons maybe a little bit more.
Deputy Mayor Malonte, members of council, Staff Sergeant McGonigal, absolutely. I think it'll be better for all citizens to be able to see what is more specific, but also to see those trends because, of course, being a community that's rooted in family and, really want to highlight the strengths as well because, of course, there's a habit in our community that when there is issues, people rally around them to address them. And also at the same time, too, is there's always those, because it is a controlled community as far as overall size, if you start to get any maps that are very specific in areas of where things are happening, it may become too identifiable, which may have adverse effects versus what you're trying to accomplish. So I think just in that report design will be nice.
I agree. I agree. And so that's one thing that's jumped out at me, not just with the town of Gibbons, but with every municipality in our area. I think that's something we can put together. It takes a little bit more work, a little bit more time, but I think it's well worth it. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Oh, go ahead.
The only big that I see is in robberies.
Okay.
how is Gibbons doing as far as robberies are concerned? I know for a while it was really bad.
I'm not aware of any issues with robberies in the last quarter. Do we have a quantifiable? Sorry, I don't have that same graph that was provided to you, but do we have a quantifiable amount on there? Because sometimes because of our sample size, we have such a small sample size that we talk about, okay, there's a 300% increase in robberies. Well, okay, it's
So-
because we went from 1 to 3.
2022, there was 0. 2023, there's 7. So it's
Thank you
it's
very
up and down.
Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes those small sample sizes, the reliability drops a little bit, and that's why we see those spikes sometimes. I would suggest that would be one of those instances.
And also, if, based on what you said before, we're looking at the entire detachment region,
Yes.
not just Gibbons, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, one more question from Lorraine. Go ahead.
No, just a comment. I'm really happy to see that the statistics for spousal abuse have fallen.
Yeah, me as well.
It's an issue that I pay close attention to, and it's a serious one.
That's a significant one. I mean, again, this is for our entire detachment area, but we're talking about having an average of 10 of those calls per month, and now this year seeing half of that. That is a significant decrease.
Go ahead. CAO Farrell O'Malley.
Deputy Mayor Malante, members of council, Staff Sergeant McGonigal, one of the things that, over time is being able to, to see where the youth are coming in town and where they're kind of getting and moving up. Because obviously, sometimes in many occasions, the youth get a lot of bad raps. That they're creating lots of issues and such. And social media, unfortunately, doesn't always help in the fact that sometimes you get 20 people reporting the same item. Where it might actually only been one occurrence, and now all of a sudden, people in the community either think it's 20 different events. And I think with that is that it's going to be very clear when you're in the reporting, is that how that's identified to what are, the accuracies of it all. But I think it's also with it is maybe a record of the number of calls that came in. Because I know for quite a number of meetings and sessions, it's about we want to encourage people to call in. Instead of just posting it on social media, it's actually call the detachment and say, hey, we got a challenge here.
Absolutely.
But I can also say that a number of times that, being at the front counter is that we've had some people come in and want to report a certain item. And they're, of course, a little tentative because they're afraid of things coming back at them. So maybe one of the things that the detachment may want to, look at is some other avenues where people can report, in such a way, or, just make a contact and then somebody will follow up with them. So then that way they can be as, how we say, confidential as possible, or don't get tagged to the issue, because I think there's a lot of concern for personal fear or retribution. So I think that's one of the things that you may have some initiatives or some different ways to help to allow that to happen. Because we have a lot of great citizens in here that want to be forthright and provide that information, but they're a little bit concerned for their safety.
Absolutely. So one of the things, Farrell, that I plan on rolling out here, in fact, I'm going to be meeting with my management team on Monday, and we're going to be starting this next week, is the need for a local communication strategy. From what I can tell in the first month that I've been here, just evaluating the detachment, I don't know that we have anything in terms of a local policy or local strategy to deal with communications. And that's not just directly with media, but it does involve them for sure. We do have a provincial program at the division level to deal with media. We have a media relations unit where if we have anything that's significant interest to the public, we forward it to the media relations unit. They disseminate it to all the media outlets across the province, and they can choose how they want to report on it from there. Where I see the bit of a gap here is where we have items that are solely of local interest. If we have, say, 6 cars that got rummaged through on 50th Street in Gibbons, okay, well, I would suggest that the people in this community would like to know if we catch the guy that did it. CTV Edmonton might not care, Global News might not care, and I've already spoken to our media relations unit in Edmonton, and I've basically let them know I'm going to be bypassing them in these cases, and that they're okay with this. They're going to risk this out. But to me, it's not just about positive PR. I want to get these stories out there where, cause I've worked in this detachment only for 4 weeks, but I can see, and I think most people, even the non-police officers who work in our building, are aware that our police officers are good at their job. We catch the bad guys a lot more than the public realizes. But if we don't communicate that and we don't put the word out there, quite frankly, I don't blame people for being skeptical. I don't blame people for going on Facebook and saying, you know what, there's no point calling the police. They're not going to do anything, or they're not going to show up. Because if we don't have a voice at the table and we don't fill that void, that voice is going to be the one that wins. That's going to be the message that takes over. And so we have a responsibility, I think, to interject into that and actually make sure that people are aware. So if we do catch the guy who steals a license plate off a couple of cars in town or breaks into wherever, we need to make sure that the public is aware of that. And our media relations at the provincial level and the media, they might not be interested in those stories, but I suspect that our local community is interested in those stories. I happen to live in Sturgeon County, and if there's a stolen, even just a stolen vehicle that belonged to someone that I don't even know, and the person gets caught and arrested, I would like to know about that. I think my neighbors would like to know about that.
Well, I think one of the things with that as well, Staff Sergeant McGonigal, is the fact is that when people get caught, is, people I think are getting tired of the catch and release program that's been developed in Alberta, where the RCMP do a fantastic job of catching the people, and unfortunately our legal system maybe are really quick to release. I don't even think they have a hook or a barb on the hook in some cases, but I think it might also help if the people knew exactly what you needed. That would help to solidify a case.
Yeah.
And not so that they're embellishing it in any way, shape, or form, but sometimes, they just say, here you go, but when they may have another tidbit of information that really might make the difference.
Yep.
Those type of things, and so that might be able to be done through a couple of, local public open houses or open public or open town halls, that information could be communicated. And maybe at that point in time it would be nice to maybe bring some people that are on the legal end of it to come in and to share with that what would help to make a tight case.
And we're actually doing that. Thanks, Farrell. That's a good point. We are having crime prevention town halls throughout the area on a regular basis now. I don't know at what point we started this, but we are doing it right now. And we're having an expert analyst come out from our division headquarters in the crime prevention unit to talk about this. We're actually having one this evening at Nemeo Hall. And so just to have that exact discussion with people, okay, how do we best protect ourselves? How do we best report these items? How can we best investigate instances to be successful in court? But, sorry, part of just one quick point I'd like to make too is, again, just back to reporting on the success stories we have. It's not just about earning the trust of the public. It's not just about improving our public relations out there. But we want to encourage people that, you know what, it's not the case that if your car is rummaged through that there's no point in calling the police. Call us. Even if you see something. Even if you see, you wake up and you see on your doorbell camera that someone came and just tried to open the door handle on your car and they just walk away. I had someone mention that to me once, anecdotally, that they noticed someone had tried to just open the door on their van overnight, and it didn't open, it was locked, so they just kept on going on their way. And the person never reported it to the police. So when we talk about what kind of information do the police need to be successful in putting these guys away, that's the very first step. You got to make the call to us, right? Because they may not have not stolen that person's car, they may not have got anything, but they may have stole something from the guy down the road. And he didn't see anything. And if we don't hear from anyone else, it's case closed. But meanwhile, this other person has them on camera, and we can see who it is. So we want to encourage everyone to report anything suspicious like that at all.
I think with that, if I could as well, Staff Sergeant McGonigal, is that we have an office that we outfitted in our cultural center upstairs that for use by the RCMP, if it needed to have visits with our residents. It might be one of those opportunities that would, if you because sometimes people don't report because they don't have time and
Yep.
they don't want to go over to Morinville. It may be where some of those opportunities could be bridged, where they can actually meet with an officer here and have that conversation, so they don't have to make a big to-do about it.
Absolutely.
But still out. So that's available to the RCMP at any time.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just had a suggestion as to where you could report some of the successes, as in when you have got the bad guys, et cetera. And that would be in the Morinville Free Press. It is the only paper that we receive, and if there was a consistent column from the RCMP sharing information that you think it's important for us to see, I think that would be one of the ways to go.
You've read my mind, Lorraine. In fact, I met with the Free Press last week, and they're joining us on this plan. I also mentioned this with Farrell a few weeks ago that I understand there's a town newsletter here like to involve that as well. Let's just put it right out there. Let's make it easy.
Before I put my questions down, is there any other questions from council? Okay, I'll mention mine. I've got three, and Farrell already took one of them out of mine, which is the beat office. I wanted to make sure that was being utilized because we funded for that particular location, not just for the RCMP, but also for Morinville peace officers, right? So it is
In the building here?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Cultural Center.
Oh, at the Cultural Center, okay.
Yeah, and, you know, one of the wonderful things that I think would show a statement is any unclassified forms or pamphlets that indicate policing is in that area would be great, you know, even as a neighborhood resource, whether it's crime watch prevention pamphlets or anything to that effect, where they'll just know this is where we get the info, or even if they get it from us, however way that works, we want to make it yours as well.
Absolutely.
For your members. And then the other pieces that I wanted to talk about was any supports that we can do as council. So some of the things that came up in my mind, right, is special event pins. I don't want to use the Police and Peace Officer Memorial, but these are some of the things that may be a unity with our council and with the policing factor. With my background working in enforcement as well, I think it goes a long way. So if there's any opportunities that you think council needs to provide for support, we can do that.
Thank you.
Again, obviously in discussion with all of council and with our CAO. Some examples that I want to kind of elicit for some ideas. It's not saying that we're moving in this direction, but we've already have a modernized town hall, so we have meetings here, and if there's any messaging or discussions you want to bring up at our table, it doesn't always have to be quarterly. It might be timely based on a situation. Everything here is being recorded and it goes on the internet. So these are things that we can maybe assist with what we currently have, what we have available for. And then I don't know if you know this, but I've noticed a lot with neighborhoods in Gibbons. I don't know if we have a lot of money, but for some reason everyone's starting to put up CCTV cameras in all of the neighborhoods. So I don't know if that's something that you've noticed, but it would be interesting to find out what the count is for the amount of cameras that you have in neighborhoods, which may assist in investigations, whether or not they're appropriate or not. But it's just something that I've noticed in the last little while. So there might be a communication strategy on that. Because again, everyone's got money, and for some reason they're putting money into the tech around their houses in the neighborhoods I've seen. And then the final one is welcome. I just want to say thank you. I'm hoping we might have some swag for our new staff sergeant, Gibbons pin maybe, or something like that, and just to show that you're part of our community, and if we have pins to give out to your members, just to show if you're allowed to wear them, or whatever case, whether you're in training or whatever, I'd certainly like to see if we can give some of that out to the members.
Deputy Mayor Malonte, members of council, I was actually thinking, you know, because it's a partnership here, I was thinking that maybe in tune for us to giving them some swag and, you know, accommodations and such, is that they would really on their vehicles when they come into town, it'll actually say the RCMP, you know, in partnership with the town of Gibbons, you know, to really to start to build that. And I think it's really, you know, a number of those items that would really help to go forward as well.
I'd like to talk to about some ideas like that. I think that's great.
You know,
To interrupt, but just to let council and the staff sergeant know, we do have on our website a report a crime link that reports directly to the RCMP. So just to put it out there for everyone's knowledge, under our services, police and safety.
Thank you, Chris. If there's anything else, is there anything else you want to add, sir?
I don't want to take up too much of your time. I could go all day talking about this stuff. I have a lot of plans for sure.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we're going to have future meetings and regular updates as we move forward.
For sure. I guess I'll just close off. I won't get into a whole lot of details here other than saying obviously we're going to be prioritizing our community policing efforts. So two sides of that, one being the proactive community involvement, so, you know, realizing the benefit of positive proactive proactive community involvement and presence in the community. So that's everything from bike rodeos at the schools to crime watch functions to parades. All of our towns in the area have festivals throughout the summer. My commitment is that if there's a desire and an invitation for our detachment to be represented and to be there, we will be there. The benefits there to doing that are enormous in my mind. Community collaboration is the other part. So that, and this is one you kind of touched on in your questions there, in how we provide our annual input on our policing priorities. And our traditional approach to that is we seek annual input once we get into the spring for the upcoming year. We come in and we provide our quarterly updates. We provide the little graphs and everything like that. But nothing is really customized, and nothing is as integrated as well as I think it probably could be. And that's not to be overly critical, but I think perhaps we can take this to the next level. And I'd like to come up with a system here where we can truly work together throughout the year. And as you mentioned, not just these meetings, but truly on like a regular basis throughout the year to steer our policing strategies together, not just with Gibbons, but with all of the communities. So I've approached all the other communities in the area to see, we're just having some preliminary discussions about the potential for a police advisory committee in the area, which will consist of myself and representatives from all the communities in their area together, meeting on a regular basis throughout the year. So you don't have to wait for me to come in here on June 12th and tell you how things went for us from January until April. You know, you have a good idea of this, a representative at the table in the group who is aware right up to the day of how we're doing with our policing strategies.
Deputy Mayor Malonte, members of council, Deputy Mayor Malonte, you mentioned a lot of citizens have CCT cameras. I think it's very important that we identify that those are personal cameras, because of course there's lots of conversation that are out there now talking about 15-minute cities. And there's a lot of concern over people, you know, viewing and following people and tracking people. And I think it's very clear is that these are personal, cameras. They're not town cameras. We're not implementing a strategy of that standpoint, to do that. And it's because, of course, we're getting in the process of doing a review of our land use bylaw. And a lot of the conversation is around 15-minute cities that's out there in the general public, whereas the real meeting is just where you can get access to, the services you need within that period of time. Not whereas in a lot of European countries, is a lot of those CCT cameras are shown to be linked in for every Jason Bourne movie. And I think it just very clear is the fact that we're not engaged in a program of that nature, so our citizens don't have to, think that we're doing anything that's outside of what they're aware of. But I would like to bring attention to one item that we did have a conversation with when we did have for lunch, is the fact that the town is looking to embark on bringing forward some, some recommendations to use the use of golf carts within our community for some means of transportation for our citizens and such. And I think it would certainly, be a great strategy to have the local RCMP with a golf cart designed unit itself. So with some of our trails,
Only if I get to drive it.
Well, we can certainly, make that happen, just to show the flexibility, but also I think what it'll show, is a lot of people within is that you're not just, stuck in a certain, mold and that's all you are. Because I know when we had a chance to meet is that a lot of staff sergeants are, dynamic in their own way, but I think you bring a number of different angles that a lot have never done. And I think it's very refreshing. And I think the other aspect from our conversations is that you have a long-term sense of permanency, whereas in the past is that I don't think there was that sense out there to people. And so now that is there, is that I think it's extremely refreshing. So,
Thank you, I appreciate that. One thing I hadn't mentioned in my introductions, and on the personal side, I've lived in Sturgeon County for a number of years. My wife and I live in the county with our 5 kids, and this is it for me. There is no stepping stone here. I'll be fully transparent. I'm not looking at another promotion or another job. I'm not looking at moving again at this point in my career. This is it. This is what I enjoy doing. It's fulfilling, and it's just a bonus that I get to do it right in my own backyard and help the community that I live in. Thank you.
Thank you. That will end the report.
Okay, I think
Appreciate that.
yeah, sure. I'll leave the rest for next time. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, let's move on to new business.
Excuse me, Deputy Mayor Milante, I need a motion to accept his information, please.
My apologies. Motion to accept for information, Councillor Barry. If you don't mind pressing your mic.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, staff. Thank you very much. Moving forward to 10.1, new business for, or sorry, 9.1, my apologies. Revised letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Over to CAO O'Malley.
Deputy Mayor Milante, members of council, is that as at the April 10th regular meeting in council, administration brought forward local improvement tax bylaw ALT 24 and local improvement tax borrowing bylaw ALT 524 and for first reading. This is pertaining to the large-scale infrastructure work that is being proposed for the town of Gibbons. And as part of that is that in order, because the nature of that project was 14.2 million, is that we needed to send a letter to the minister asking for requesting permission to go outside of our borrowing limits in order to fund that project. Administration has been working with the administration of Alberta Municipal Affairs in trying to get the information necessary for the minister to make an informed decision. With that is through the discussion point, it was brought forward from their staff that we would need to look at a revised letter that outlined exactly what the limit is being requested to raise to, for how long, and then also for the debt servicing rate for the, how much and for how long as well. So the revised letter that is enclosed in the package, because timing was very important in order to get this forward to the minister in response, his administration did circulate this to members of council via email and with the opportunity to provide input either, and it also stayed in favor or opposed to that. As a part of the record, with that, when that took place, there were 6 members of council that had moved forward to move forward in favor of that, and one that had voted opposed, with all due respect. But with that is that in order to officially to deal with this, is it had to come forward to a meeting for ratification, and so that the documentation that was provided to council forms your package. So at this stage, this administration is requesting that council formally adopt the resolution, the motion that was included in that package that was circulated prior to all members of council for official ratification of that.
Councillor Yushishin, go ahead.
I'd like to make the motion that council approve the revised letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs requesting authorization to exceed its borrowing limit to a maximum of $30,700,000 until December 31st, 2030 that will incorporate all debentures listed on the attached list, the lines of credit totaling $3.8 million, and further extend the town's debt servicing limit to a maximum of $2.8 million until December 31st of 2026, prior to bringing forward for consideration the second and third reading to the local improvement tax borrowing bylaw, number ALT 5/24, that is necessary for Heartland Commons large utility infrastructure project to be completed.
Any questions? Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. Moving over to 12.1, administration report.
Or
Would
actually,
like to go first? Oh,
sorry, actually.
10.1,
keep skipping, I'm writing over my own notes here. 10.1, my apologies again, Athabasca Landing Trail, Memorandum of Understanding.
Deputy Mayor Milante, members of council, administration has been working with other administrators across the region that are involved with the Athabasca Landing Trail. The MOU in relation to it, it's basically a guideline document of how we can work together to help to further the Athabasca Landing Trail and its future as it links our communities together and ties in with the Trans-Canada Trail and other bodies with it. There was a study that was done quite a number of years ago that kind of formed the basis of it. And so in the MOU, very simple, straightforward. It doesn't have any firm commitments as far as, expenditures and such, but more or less participating in the overall process to follow that, and that we agree to work and we see the value in such of a document in order to have that to happen. And so at this stage, as administration has gone through this with the other CAOs, and as a document, it is very straightforward. And so at this point in time, is looking for council's, support in entering into the MOU, which will be then communicated to the other members of the partners and signatories on this document. And the other item that goes with it, it really serves to tie in that the town of Gibbons is not just a unidimensional within, Sturgeon County, but to other counties and other bodies that aside from us that help us to draw us, together as an overall region, much broader than just where we're at. So with that, thank you.
Councillor Kozak? Oh, Councillor Sandal? Yep.
I'd like to move that the council approve the Athabasca Landing Trail intermunicipal memorandum of understanding as presented.
Question? Councillor Barry?
I would just like some idea of where Athabasca Landing Trail moves through the municipality of Gibbons. Where is it?
Well, actually, if I could, Deputy Mayor Malante, Councillor Barry, actually just down from the cultural center, there's a milestone marker right there, and that's where actually it ties into the Gibbons community right there. We have it identified as a marker where we tie in for the landing trail.
But the trail itself,
This actually links into our the other trails coming from outside of town. We don't have a lot in town, but
Okay.
we're helping to develop that as time goes on. So it becomes more prominent between us, and other communities around us.
so it's identified as going through Gibbons, but the trail itself is not marked.
We don't have the entire thing marked because this is part of the overall strategies to bring more recognition to it, outline and definition to it. So it actually can become more prominent so people can see the linkages between our communities, and that helps to draw us as a region within that.
And the only thing that we have done so far in support of this is to install the plaque that you talked about?
Well, I think we used to be able to sit as part of a committee a long time ago and to help and to formulate this, and that whole board and committee kind of went to a little bit of a sleeper period of time, and so now we're reviving it and to look into actually make it more prominent. And so you'll see as time goes on, it'll become a little bit more than just a sign and a marker. It'll be more of actually a real, I think, transportation route between communities.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Sandal?
Pardon me. In response to your question, if you go down to the entrance to Williams Park on the corner there, there's a sign that says this is mile 26 of the Athabasca Landing Trail.
Thank you for that information. Councillor Yusishan?
Just curious, are we the only municipality that has a portion of that trail, or are we just the only ones that the group here has chosen to connect with at this point?
Deputy Mayor Malante and Councillor Yushishan, these other communities that are listed in this actually have parts of the trail going through them already.
Sorry, but these are more counties as opposed to individual
Right.
municipalities.
We're one of the primary municipalities that has that, yes.
Okay.
Because most of it is actually external trails, because it was part of Trans-Canada Trail System when it took over a lot of the old rail beds, which were external to a lot of the communities.
Any further questions? Okay. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, going through my notes. 12.1, staff reports.
Okay, with that, Deputy Mayor Malante, I would just like to refer to Stephanie Peters for the Community Services Department.
Deputy Mayor, members of council, so our museum is now open daily, so please, if you're interested, go check some of the displays, programs, or pick up, the $1 ice cream, hard to beat. Our summer program guide is now out and we're accepting registrations. And upcoming events, June 15th, we have Neighbor Day and Lemonade Day. June 19th, we have our Pride in the Park event. And for the month of June, we have a number of free recreation programs happening through a grant that we got from Participaction. So those are either full or filling up. So if there's anyone still interested in joining those, please make sure you register soon. I also just wanted to make note that the amazing team at the GFRC has been in contact with our primary care network, and we're actually going to be having a behavioral health consultant in the resource center coming forward every single Tuesday for, we're looking at almost the next year and a half to support our region. You do need to book an appointment, and that can be done directly through PCN, or you can reach out to the resource center and they can help book those appointments. But it's just one more great asset coming out to our community, because they are based out of Sherwood Park right now, so it's not always accessible to everyone. So just wanted to highlight that.
Councillor Barry?
Could you just give me an idea of what issues the behavioral health consultant would be addressing? Is this child behavior in a family, or is this mental health types of behaviors? What is this?
Councillor Barry, so I'll just read off, we have a brochure to our little information package that we can pass out, and will be sharing as well. But so they identify and implement behavior changes to improve physical, emotional, and mental well-being. So some of the issues that they have include stress, family or relationship problems, grief or bereavement, sleep concerns, substance use concerns, chronic pain and illness, anger management, and lifestyle concerns.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
that concludes mine.
Monique.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. It's good to be back. The best thing about a holiday is coming home. And tax notices have been mailed out and are due at the end of business day on July the 2nd. The Metrics Group is continuing to work on the audit. I hope to have something positive real soon. And the department's been working on finalizing a couple of fairly lucrative grants, the 2 Billion Trees and the FCM grant. Report.
Thank you. Louise.
Deputy Mayor, members of council. Sorry, forgot to turn that on. We had to cancel the golf tournament, which is too bad. But now we're starting to work on the Mayor's Brunch, which is scheduled for September 13th. We're just looking for a speaker right now. The one I really wanted, we can't afford because she's $30,000. Anybody have a spare change? She's really good. Also, remember, sell your golf cart tickets. We need to get those sold so we can actually do the draw on the proper date, which is at the Mayor's Brunch. Also, I need to put in a shameless plug for Neighbor Day on Saturday. We'll be at the museum, and there's free hot dogs. That's it.
Shameless plug for free hot dogs. I've never heard that. So with that, Curtis, if you'd like to go to the Public Works. Thank you.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor, members of council. Public Works, the past couple weeks and coming up, street sweeping has been ongoing as needed. Crack sealing is supposed to start on the week of June 17th, weather dependent. We got ditch cleaning to start June 19th, weather dependent. Water meter installations are going on as appointments are made. Grass mowing is ongoing for the season. The flowers have arrived and are slowly getting planted right now as we speak. That'll continue shortly, and we completed the mower buyback program for this term, and the mowers were swapped out on June 10th. For the fire department, for the Fire Chief Flo, 2024 calls, currently the town calls are at 68 and county calls are at 94.
You did a pretty good job standing in for Fire Chief Flo. Nice job. You got a fire chief in your future as well? Have you been working on that?
Not in my foreseeable future, no.
No, thanks.
I will mention you worked on fire with me, so you do have a background.
So just a project update is with it. Of course, we're just finalizing the details on the cottage subdivision to look into to move forward with that project well, because it's not just that project, it's also the Tone subdivision works that'll go hand in hand with that. I know the Memorial Park, we're just waiting to hear back on the federal accessibility grant. My understanding that the previous program has or the program has started another intake, but I believe that they've made decisions and we're just have yet to hear on what the final status of ours is. Heartland Station, anyone driving by gets a chance to see the new steel that's going up there. Just as getting built, the bones of the new grocery store that is slated to be in place by the end of December of this year. And the commercial retail unit, that's actually, my understanding, is sold out as far as leased out in total. So that will start construction anytime now, I believe. It started now on the next, so that's wonderful. And so we should be seeing that. And then just other items in relation to the south is, I know I've been in extensive conversations with some different parties that are looking to come to town, and in talking to to the developer and their associated reps, is they're getting phone calls, every day. If not, they're getting probably 3 to 5 a week that want to be part of the future of Gibbons. So with that, Deputy Mayor Malonte, members of council.
Any questions? Councillor Barry.
I noticed when we were driving by that there is a more substantial fence being erected between that area and
And then neighboring
the
properties.
neighboring properties. And I was pleased to see that, and hopefully that will ease tensions in that regard.
Deputy Mayor Malonte, members of council, Councillor Barry, yes, my understanding is the first phase that was set to be in place is now finished, completed. I believe they're just working on the gateways. I think they're installing that, or that's happening today, I believe.
Deputy Mayor Miliante, members of council, Councillor Barry, yes, the gateway was completed yesterday for the paneling and the construction there. They were just waiting on the welder to come back to finish that up.
So, excellent, thank you. And so then, once the second building that's in progress now, then they'll be installing the second phase of that fencing. That'll take that to the end of those properties. And so, so it certainly will provide a little bit more definition. And then I do believe in our commitment to them, it also includes some planting of some trees that we're going to be working on when the timing is appropriate, and doing some other redirection of some swales and drainage as well. Is that just the one to move in away from the one current that runs adjacent to a property to the other side of the emergency access path?
Yeah, for the drainage swales and that, we are still reviewing that, just with property lines and everything on there for what we are able to do. But the tree planting will kind of pertain into the summer months, as we do have 533 trees we are planting this year all throughout town. So it'll be fixed in with the schedule there, date to be determined for those areas.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Councillor Barry.
One other comment, congratulations to the town on their tree planting. I literally walked all the way down 51st Street and checked out all the trees. Every single one is fully leafed out now. So we had no loss of trees, in spite of the fact that Eric said we could expect 1 in 10. They're all doing well.
So what I'd like to do is have Deputy Mayor Malonte and members of council and Councillor Barry, we certainly appreciate the health report. And so I was wondering if we could just get maybe a check sheet for you, so that way when you go by, is that and I say that with all due respect, because of course, anything in relation to trees, a lot of times it takes initially, and there could be some stuff that comes up later. And I do know that when Eric was revealing that, he was just basically giving you the general stats. But it is great to hear that we're taking, it just tells that, that our crews do a tremendous job in knowing what to plant and where, and they're very selective with it. And we have some great people that are in charge of that. So thank you.
Any other questions, clarification? Anybody have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion to accept this information.
Thank you, Councillor Kozak. All in favor? Unanimous. Next one is committee reports. Let's start with Councillor Sandal.
Okay, May 22nd and the 29th, I was at the meetings for the Water Commission. June 6th, pardon me, June 5th, I was at the town update meeting at the Cultural Center, and 6th, 7th, and 8th, I was at the FCM conference in Calgary.
Thank you. Councillor Kozak?
May 28th, NEBA Munch and Mingle, and again on May 29th was the Aero Utility CAO briefing, followed by a meet and greet with the Enoch First Nation Council and Chief. May 31st, watched The Littlest Mermaid at the Gibbons Middle School, and it was awesome. The kids did a fantastic job. June 4th was the Seniors Barbecue, which was really well attended. And June 5th through 9th, the FCM convention. And yesterday, the Zoom meeting with Edmonton Global.
Thank you. Over to Councillor Barry.
On June the 4th, I attended the Seniors Barbecue, and yes, it was very well attended. And following that, I attended the FCM conference in Calgary from I believe the 6th until the 9th, not counting the traveling day.
Councillor Yeshishin?
All right, on June 4th, I missed adding the Seniors Barbecue again, so my apologies there, but I did attend the Seniors Barbecue. Also attended FCM from the 6th through the 9th, and then yesterday attended the Edmonton Global Zoom meeting as well.
Thank you, and I'll close off with my report. May 30th, attended the Sturgeon River Watershed Alliance, and then June 6th to 9 also attended the FCM, and wanted to just elicit some information about what FCM is. It's a conference for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, where there's a lot of discussion on trends throughout the country, networking and education sessions for all councillors and mayors that attend, and they also vote on resolutions on a federal level, which allows us to put our interests for Gibbons on a national scale. And then I guess the last comment I'll add is I was very surprised to see that the Prime Minister also attended the conference. So that actually lets you know how important it is for elected officials to attend, just because of the outlook of looking at things from a national scale with all municipalities involved throughout Canada. Thank you. She's going to do it.
I'd
Okay,
like to
go ahead,
add
Laura.
one more thing regarding the conference.
Oh, go ahead.
The final plenary was on harassment of political representatives, councillors, and provincial and federal MPs. I think this stresses the importance of that issue and how much it needs to be dealt with throughout the country, not just locally. Thank you.
Motion to accept.
I'll move to accept for information.
Thank you, Councillor Sandal. I guess I can just go ahead. Yeah. Oh, all in favor? Unanimous. Looking to move forward to adjourn. Okay. Thank you.